everybody ran across George. Everybody knew him. He was a nice guy. Always had something good to say. Wanted to brighten your day in some way. Appreciate everybody coming up and listening. It means a lot.
Thank you. So one day we were out playing, he and I both Marshall here, for those that don't know that. And I said, man, I think I got my swing down and everything. I just really can't focus so well. And he goes, oh, I can fix that. Now, the side story is George had an incredible memory. And he and I were vintage. He was 73, I'm 71. So we grew up watching, Cheyenne and the Rifleman, and all the cartoons, Fury and Sky King on Saturdays. And so we always had stories to talk about, But he could remember the actors, their names, their families. I mean, he definitely had the memory. So we were on, I think, 5, and I got like a 12-foot putt. Looking at it, I'm thinking, give it a 3-inch break to the right. And he was helping me at the time, so here's what it was. So I'm lining up on my putt. He's there. Mr. Wizard, I don't want to be a geologist anymore. And there was a cartoon, I can't remember the name of it, but it was a dog, and he had a time machine, the Wayback Machine, and the kid would always go back into the past. Mr. Peabody. That's it exactly. So,
good memory.
Yeah, he could remember all those things, So I kind of chuckled, and I thought, oh, geez, thanks, dude. That'll take my mind off everything. And actually it did, So from then on, I'd go up to the tee box, and he'd go, Aunt B, from Andy Mayberry, Where do you pull these things out of, dude? Jeez, oh man. Lots of those to go, but I don't want to bore you with all those details. But he was a hoot to play with. He really was. If you read any of the things, he was a national bowler at one time. And so pre-COVID, he and I would get up Tuesdays and we'd go bowl, and then we'd come out here and play around, And even at 70, he had like a 210 average, The highest that he bowled with me was a 246. So that tells you what kind of bowler he was. Very methodical, everything was, and I think he was OCD actually, he was just very, very methodical. His ball, I'd bowl and, I'd throw the nice thing about the bowling alley is it keeps track of the statistics. And it'll tell you how fast you're rolling, I'll scream one down there, 16 miles an hour. His would be 8.2. The next one, 8.3. I mean, he was just, that's why he was so good, just locked in. And there was, I guess I got time. There was one other story. I had a good friend, and he'd come by here about every 2 years, and the 3 of us would play together. So we're up top of the tennis courts, getting our clubs and stuff, and my buddy Joe pulls out a shoehorn to put on his shoes. And I'm like, good grief. The only other person I've ever seen do that was George. And I'm there, holy smokes, George, look at that. And I goes using the shoehorn. And so, George walks over and, Joe holds up the shoehorn and, about getting long. And George says, well, that's nothing. It's about like this, And so we all kind of chuckled about that. And then we got out to I think we were on 6. And Joe hit it in the water coming across. And so he jumps out of the cart and gets his, ball retriever, and he pulls out. He couldn't reach it. It was about kind of in the middle of the stream. And George said, don't worry about it. I got one, So he pulls his out, digs it out, and so they're comparing their ball retrievers, and George's, is like a 12-footer, And he turned to Joe and said, Joe, I'm going to have to start calling you Shorty. He was actually a fun guy to play with, and a guy to be around, good friend, and I'll miss him. Thank you, folks. So George did have a hole-in-one on hole number 17. He hit the ball, and I watched it, and I see it. probably shouldn't say it, there's kids in here, but anyway, holy cow. And so we're coming down the hill to 17, and Craig Crawford and Kern are coming up one. And I hollered at him, hey, we haven't even been on the green yet, go check the hole. You know, Craig walked over there, sure enough, the ball was in the hole. So George had a hole-in-one on number 17. Good.
I met George probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was out just messing around one Wednesday afternoon, and I ran into a friend of mine named John Uphouse, which some of you may remember. He was a marshal. And I saw John. He's like, hey, Craig, why don't you come play with us? I'm like, okay. He goes, this is my friend George. Okay. He goes, but we call him Gorgeous. And I said, Gorgeous. And he's like, yes. I was like, okay. So after that, John would say, hey, we're going to play every Wednesday at 1:30. I'm like, okay, these guys suck. I'm not very good, but I can beat them. So I'm going to come on Wednesday. And George, as Mike said, a very peculiar guy. Like the second or third time we're playing, and he's got probably a 20-footer for a double bogey. So he's going 2 + 6, 2 + 6, 2 + 6. I'm like, what? Because he's talking about 2 + 6. So he's already thinking in his head he wants to get a double bogey. He's not even trying to make the bogey putt. He's always just trying to make a double bogey. So he would do that all the time. And then the most peculiar thing is he couldn't putt. He wasn't very good. But every time he got on the putting green, he took his ball he was playing with, took it in, put it in his pocket, and put out his money ball. The ball was literally a $100 bill wrapped up into a golf ball. And he would putt with that thing every single time we played. Last time I played with him was like 2 months ago, and he still had the money ball. And that's all he would do with the money ball is just putt with the money ball. I love George. He was so kind. Huge heart. Every time he would see me or Shannon, hey, Mr. Crawford, hey, Mr. Crawford, every single time. And I remember that year and a half, Mike started coming to play with us. And those were some of the best times. It's just John and Mike and George out here on a random Wednesday afternoon and just listen to George say stuff like Mike said and pull out his money ball. George will be missed. You know, when Mike texted me a couple weeks ago, I knew that George was not doing well, had been losing weight. And when Mike sent the text, I went and saw George in the hospital that next day. Ooh, it broke my heart. Because he lost over 70 pounds. And, you know, George had phenomenal hair. His hair was just going out. And, you know, it broke my heart because he's by himself the same day with hospital. And I knew then that he wasn't going to make it. But, you know, just listening to John, Josh, Mike, and everybody around here, everybody loved George. And you know, thank you for coming to celebrate George. So let's raise a glass one more time to George.
To George.